Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, The Mom Is Your Critique. I'm Pascal, and in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the new Whitney Houston biopic, which is titled Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody. This was directed by Casey Lemons, and it stars Naomi Ackie, Stanley Tucci, Ashton Sanders, Tamara Tooney, and many more. The film starts off in Whitney's younger years, right before she blasts off into stardom. She is singing in the church choir directed by her hard-nosed mother and famed singer Cissy Houston. Whitney loves to sing, of course, but does get uncomfortable under her mother's guidance. During her church choir years, she also meets Robin Crawford, who is her best friend and confidant throughout most of her life. After singing lead in a show where the legendary music producer Clive Davis is attending, Davis officially declares her one of the greatest voices of her generation and signs her as his singer. The rest, as they say, is history. This movie also chronicles Whitney's ultimate tragic relationship with substance abuse, which of course led to her untimely death. It's a pretty straightforward snapshot into the life of the most phenomenal singer, in my opinion, and somebody who led a deeply troubled life. While this movie is certainly made with a lot of care, it does unfortunately fall into the generic biopic, field of movies. And listen, I get it. It's in the name, biopic, right? To do one, you have to cover the entirety of a person's life because it is a biography. But I still think that there is a way to make a movie in this genre, with creativity, and it's really not here, which is unfortunate. The screenplay, direction, and performances aren't really creative enough to warrant a full cinematic experience. I really do wonder if biopic filmmakers are kind of a bit weary about stirring the pot when they're covering a very famous person, so there isn't really a lot of creative freedom in these movies. I always feel like there's this ever-present need to protect the name and image of a star that they are telling a story about, but to do that, it makes it a very safe movie and pretty dull. It's not a bad movie, certainly, but it wasn't really too creative or inspiring. I've said this before when I reviewed the other biopic of a really famous singer, Respect, which was about Aretha Franklin in her earlier life, but there really needs to be something interesting about the story you're creating if you're going to do a whole biopic. There has to be a different angle, a different level, color, shading, or idea that you're bringing to a well-known person's public life if you're gonna go ahead and do one of these movies. Because if you don't, it's just gonna feel like we're watching a Wikipedia page come to life. I left the movie not really knowing what Casey wanted us to know about Whitney Houston's life, other than, hey, here are Whitney's greatest hits. Here were the highs and lows of her life. And again, I think if we wanted to, find a summary of Whitney's life, there's plenty of words written about it, and it really needs to be made into a full movie. Whitney is my favorite vocalist of all time, but I didn't really have encyclopedic knowledge of every part of her life. But pretty much everything that was presented in I Want to Dance with Somebody, I already knew through just paying attention to headlines about Whitney. This was an incredibly famous woman whose high notes and low moments were heavily documented and discussed very publicly. I think the only thing I didn't know was that she also had a really difficult relationship with her father, so that was new, but everything else was things anybody with a cursory knowledge of Whitney Houston would probably know about. Her strict Christian famous mother, her relationship with Robin and Bobby, her wanting to do both movies and music, the criticism she received about not making music that was Black enough, her Super Bowl performance, which was fantastic, her love for her daughter, Bobby Christina, and her public fight with drug addiction. That's pretty much the main points that the movie covers, and again, those were already happening so publicly, we kind of already knew this. This movie felt like a group of well-documented vignettes than a comprehensive story. Judy, the biopic about Judy Garland that starred Renee Zellweger, was, I felt, a really good biopic because it had a certain angle to it. It didn't go into painstaking detail about every moment of Judy Garland's life, but rather it focused on one week in her life that kind of was a perfect metaphor or encapsulation of what her whole life has been like. And it was just a different channel to see the entirety of this very famous woman's life. And that is, I think, the creativity needed for these kind of biopics. I will say though, the thing that saved this movie are the performances. Naomi Ackie had Whitney Houston down pat, okay? I actually didn't even know that the actress was British until I saw her doing an interview. Her speaking voice sounded so much like Whitney. She captured her mannerisms very well. You know, every head tilt, arm lift, and lip quiver while singing was spot on. She really, you could tell, she just really definitely studied Whitney in public very well. And Ashton Sanders played Bobby Brown, you know, the bad boy singer that married Whitney Houston, and he was great. I have loved everything that Ashton was in, that I've seen him in, including Moonlight and Judas and the Black Messiah. I think he is a really great young actor, and I thought he really captured that cocky, confident posture that Brown had in his past. And Stanley Tucci played Clive Davis, Houston's right hand in her music career. I didn't know much about Clive before this movie, but Tucci, I think, also did really great, capturing him as kind of this wise, world-weary man who had a lot of influence and sway in Whitney's rise. I think if you're a fan of biopics, then I'd say don't skip this one. It really is competently made and the performances hold it up. It really is a nice, sweet, tender tribute to Whitney Houston and the life that she led. But if you were already a fan of hers, I don't think you'll learn anything more about her or feel any differently about her once you walk away from this movie. And that is the Mondesir critique. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Bye.